one of the first things you need to make sure that you do here is make sure that you just underline the key information here. So you got a scatter graph here. On the y-axis we've got the maximum temperature, and on the x-axis here we've got the number of hours of sunshine. Now, for question part A, it's asking us to work out an outlier. Now, this is a very, very important word here. What an outlier is, and I'm going to ask you to copy that down for me, an outlier is an extreme value. It's a value that doesn't fit with the rest of the data that you have here. So if I look at all my points here, they all bundle up together along this stretch of line there. I'm sure you can obviously see that my outlier is the one that doesn't belong with the rest of the points, which is this one there. Now you need to be very careful in terms of how you write down the coordinates for this. So this is going to be 10 on the x-axis, so 10 here, and 19 for the y-axis. Okay, part B, for all of the other points, write down the type of correlation. Now, there's 3 types of correlation that you need to learn from maths. The first type of correlation looks something like this. Alright, so that's what we call a positive correlation. Another one that you need to be aware of is essentially the same as the one as the positive one, but instead of going up, this one is actually going down. This is a negative correlation. And you've also got a third one. I haven't seen this one on any actually exam papers, but it's still good to know. If you have points that are just scattered everywhere on your scatter graph, like this one has no correlation whatsoever. So no correlation. Now if I look at the one that we've got in front of me here, well, I can see as the number of hours of sunshine increases, the maximum temperature increases as well. So this one is obviously going to be a positive correlation. Good. So that's 2 marks sorted. Alright, if we look at part C. Now for part C, this is something that is extremely subtle, but you do need to be aware of. If you look at part C, it's asking you to estimate the number of hours of sunshine in this town of this day. It's worth 2 marks. You need to make sure you understand where these 2 marks actually come from. And even though it's not explicit here, one of the marks that you get is actually for drawing your line of best fit. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get my ruler out, and I'm going to draw a line of best fit for my scatter graph. Now when you draw your line of best fit, you need to make sure that you have the same amount of points above and below the line. So I'm roughly, I would say my line of best fit will need to look somewhat like this. Right, good. So let's have a look at the question. So on the same day in another British town, the maximum temperature was 16.4 degrees Celsius. So right, so I need to look at where 16.4 is on my graph. So I've got 16 there. Okay, so this is 17 about here. And I know that every little square that I've got represents 0.2. So 16.4 would be about that. Yeah, of course I can, yeah. There we go. So 16.4 is just about here. And using my line of best fit, I'm going to see what that corresponds to in terms of number of hours. And again, this is essential that you do this as well in the exam. You need to show exactly how you got the final answer. Right, so it's about there. Right, and if I look at it carefully, that's 12 here, 12.2, 12.4, 12.6, 12.8. So I would say about 12.7 hours. so looking at that, I've just written 12.7 hours just there. And good, and finally to answer question D here, weatherman says temperatures are high on days where there's more sunshine. Well, that's obvious, isn't it? If I look at my scatter graph here, I can see that as the temperature increases, there's obviously going to be more sunshine. So just to answer this question, you should say yes. Don't just say yes, make sure that you also have a statement that backs up with it. Yes, as the majority of the high temperature appear when there are more hours of sunshine. Okay, so just really important, just make sure that you underline the keywords, make sure that you look at the key facts that you have here. Okay, cool. Let's go on to question 2 here. So question 2, this is something that you've probably seen already in class. Express 56 as a product of its prime factors. Now when we talk about product, it's very important that you associate that word with multiplication. Okay, so whatever my answer is, it needs to be something times something times something times something. Right, so let's have a go at this question here. So I've got 56, and I need to break that number down in terms of its prime factors. So we know 56 is 8 times 7. Now whenever I have a prime number, what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle it. So 7 is a prime number, whereas 8 is not. So I'm going to carry on with 8. So 8, that's 4 and 2. 2 is a prime number, whereas 4 isn't. So I'm going to carry on with the 4. And that's 2 and 2. Now, like I've said, it's important that you don't write your answer this way. Again, the reason being is that your answer needs to be expressed as a product. So, let's cross that off. Your answer should be actually written as 2 times 2 times 2 times 7. Or if you want, you can actually write this down as 2 cubed times 7 as well, which is perfectly fine. Yeah, good. Okay, so nice and easy questions. Right, let's go on to question 3. Right, so question 3. So we're multiplying decimal numbers together. Best method of doing this is, well, forget there's a decimal point. So let's, instead of doing 54.6 times by 4.3, let's actually just work out what 546 times 43 is. You can do this at the same time as I'm doing here. So I'm going to do column multiplication. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. 5 times 3 is 15. And then carry the 1, that's going to be 16 here. Okay, when I go on to the next number, it's important that you carry the tens. So there's going to be a nice little 0 below the 8. And I'm going to do the same thing again. So 4 times 6, 24. 4 times 4 is 16, carry the 2 is 18. Carry 1. And then 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21. Right, so I'm going to add these up together. So that's 8, 7, 6 plus 8 is 14, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, and then finally another 2 here. Okay, so we're not done though. So my answer for that was 23,478. But bear in mind that we didn't consider the decimal points in the first place. Right, so let's think about where we need to place the decimal point. So if I look at my initial question here, I can see that the decimal point was 1 away from the right. Let me use the red pen here actually. It's 1 away from the right for the first number, and 1 away from the right from the second number. So altogether, that's 2 away from the right. So my decimal point needs to be 1, 2 away from the right. So it needs to be between the 4 and the 7. So my final answer is 234.78. Now you've noticed that I've written down grade 3 grade 3 secured. That basically means that if you've answered all those questions up to question 3 correctly, then you've already got your first grade, which is a grade 3. Alright, so let's go on to a grade 4 then. So question number 4 here. Alright, cool. So I've got a square. So I know that square has equal length. And the area of that square is 10 centimeters squared. And I'm also given some length as well. So that's 3, that's x, that's 3, that's x. I know that if I wanted to work out the area of a square, that's easy. I'm just doing length times width, which gives me the 10 centimeters squared that I've got here. Well, I'm going to basically do that actually. I've got all the values here. I'm going to see if I can work that out. So 3 times 3 is 9. So I can place a 9 here. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times x is 3x again. And then x times x, that's x squared. Okay, just to remind you, if you were to do x plus x, that would give you 2 lots of x's. But if you were to multiply the x's together, that would give you x squared. So that's the reason why I have x squared on this side. Right, so let's look at this. So I've got 4 different terms here. What I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to try to simplify as much as I can. So the 9 I can't simplify with anything else, but the 3x, I can simplify it with another 3x. So altogether, the area would be x squared plus 6x, because 3 lots of x's plus 3 lots of x's is 6x, plus 9, and according to the question, that needs to be equal to 10. Right, so at this stage here, you really need to think, okay, I've got this equation, how am I going to get it to this? To what the question wants me to get it to? Well, if you have a look, I've already got the x squared and 6x already, so that's already sorted. I've got the 6x here as well, but you can see from what your question, how your equation needs to be from the question, you shouldn't have a 9 there. That 9 needs to go away. So if I need to get rid of that 9, I need to subtract 9 on both sides of the equation. So I'm going to minus 9 on the left hand side of the equation, and also on the right hand side. So if I do this, that's going to give me x squared plus 6x. 9 take away 9 is 0, so there's nothing left more here. And then 10 take away 9 is 1. And this is how I get the final answer. Now, what's important to understand is that when you're given a question that says show that, well, you can't use this. But what you need to think about doing is you need to get to a stage where you can get to that point here. Right, so I'm going to go over to the next question. So let's turn over to question 5. Right, so let's underline the keywords here. So we've got a rectangular frame made from 5 straight pieces of metal. So let's just count it. So I've got 1 there, 2 there, 3, 4, and obviously the 5th one is going to be the diagonal line here. Okay, so I've got 5 straight pieces of metal, and I'm told that the weight of the metal is 1.5 kilograms per meter. And question is, work out the total weight. Right. So it's kind of easy because I know that this length here, if that's 12, then that also must be 12 as well. If this length here is 5, then obviously this length there is 5. But the big question is, how do I work out this length here? What's this length going to be? So what's important to look at here is if you've got a right angle triangle and you're asked to work out another length, then you're going to have to use Pythagoras here. So with Pythagoras, just going to write it over here. You can do the same as well. So I'm going to call this length here A, B, and C is always going to be the biggest length here. Pythagoras tells us that A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. And I need to know what this length here is, because that's the only length that I haven't worked out yet. Okay, so let's just extract that right angle triangle here. So I've got 5 and 12. And I'm trying to work out this length here. Let's call this X. Right, so I need to identify which one is A, which one is B, which one is C. So A, I'm going to call that 5, B is going to be 12, and C is going to be this long length here, which is our X. I'm going to sub in the values in. So I'm going to have 5 squared plus 12 squared is equal to X squared. I'm going to work each one of them out. So that's 25. That's 144. Add those two together, so X squared is equal to 169. And I need to square root this answer to work out the value of X. So square root of 169, that is 13. Okay, so that's good. I now know all the 5 lengths that I've got here. I know that this is 5, this is 12, this is 5, this is 12, and this missing one, I've just worked it out, that's going to be 30 meters. Good. So I can now work out the total length. So the total length is going to be just all of these added up together. So it's going to be 5 plus 12 plus 13 plus 5 plus 12. If I add up all of these together, that gives me 47 meters. Okay, whilst we're waiting for the visualizer to work, try to do 47 by 1.5, okay? And if you have worked that out, again in silence, I want you to work out the next question by yourself. So, last step, come on, the visualizer stop working. It's not enough tables there. Oh, we're on question 5. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, try to work out the other questions yourself. If you can't do question 6, then just have a look at question 7. I'm not sure what's happening. Yeah, it's going to get dark.
It's not working.
I think the bulb is probably because as soon as I turn it on, it does turn green, and then it just goes back to red.
Is that
That's still working, but there's no,
still
yeah.